Numbers and Sacred Geometry, the Hidden Math of Ritual Reality. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11-time published author. Today in the Symbolism series, we're going to decode the math behind the magic, the numbers and geometric codes that form the skeleton of every ritual structure, spell, building, and broadcast you've ever witnessed. Because when you think of symbolism, you probably picture shapes, signs, animals, or colors. But few realize that the most foundational layer of all symbolic systems is mathematical. Numbers aren't just used to count, they're used to code. And sacred geometry isn't just a concept from old temples. It's embedded into your reality, your city, your screen, and your spiritual programming. Numbers are frequencies. They carry resonance. And long before calculators and statistics, numbers were treated as mystical entities. In ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, Greece, India, and China, numbers were understood as divine principles. They weren't invented, they were discovered, as if they were the building blocks of this realm. Pythagoras, the Greek philosopher and mystic, taught that numbers held the secret to the universe. And his school didn't just teach math, they taught initiation. Because once you understand number as language, you see how creation was coded. And once you see the code, you can use it, or be used by it. Let's start with the most charged numbers in symbolic systems. Numbers you've seen your whole life without realizing their deeper function. The number 3 is everywhere. Trinity, triangle, triple goddess, threefold law, 3 acts in storytelling, 3 fingers raised in pledges. In sacred geometry, the triangle is the first shape that can form a closed structure. It is stability. It is power. It is the base form of a pyramid, which itself is one of the most potent ritual structures ever created. 3 is often used in rituals to signify a beginning, middle, and end, a full cycle. That's why you'll see things done in threes: 3 knocks, 3 candles, 3 movements. The subconscious registers this as completion. Then we have 6. In symbolic terms, 6 is dual. It can represent harmony and beauty, like the hexagon found in honeycombs and snowflakes. But it can also represent the material world, ego, and inversion. In ritual systems, repeating 6s, like 6666, are used to mark full immersion into the flesh, the mind, or the system. It is often interpreted not as evil, but as the full saturation of human will without spirit. That's why you'll see it encoded into barcodes, ad campaigns, and music videos. Not because it's always satanic, but because it signals the reign of the ego over the soul. It's a symbol of consumption. Now let's talk about 9. In numerology, 9 is the number of completion. It's the end of a cycle. Every multiplication of 9 adds up to 9 again. 9 times 2 is 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 2 plus 7 is 9. This pattern doesn't break. That's why 9 is often used in rituals that involve death, transformation, or finality. In occult systems, 9 represents the end before the reset. It's a signal that something is closing and something else is waiting to be born. This is why 9 is often used in film symbolism, countdown sequences, and end-stage rituals. The 9 signals that the loop is about to restart. And then there's 33. One of the most significant numbers in Freemasonry and esoteric systems. There are 33 degrees in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. Jesus is said to have died at age 33. The human spine has 33 vertebrae. In symbolic terms, 33 represents the perfected path, the fully illuminated initiate. It is the number of mastery, enlightenment, and sacrifice. That's why major events, deaths, and symbolic turning points often occur on or around the 33rd day of the year, the 33rd parallel, or with 33 encoded into the storyline. This number isn't random. It's ritual shorthand for transformation through trial. But beyond individual numbers, there is the deeper layer, geometry. Sacred geometry is the symbolic use of shapes that carry vibrational integrity. These aren't just pretty patterns, they're energetic maps. The triangle, square, circle, spiral, pentagon, and hexagon all carry specific charges. In ancient temples, these shapes were built into walls, ceilings, floor plans. Not because they looked nice, but because they shaped energy. The same way a tuning fork affects vibration, a shape affects the human energy field. And modern architecture, music stages, and even corporate logos are still using those same shapes, because the effect hasn't changed. Only the awareness has. The triangle, for example, is not just a shape, it's a power structure. It represents hierarchy. The base supports the top oversees the base. In ritual magic, the triangle is used to invoke or contain a force. In Freemasonry, the triangle with an eye at the center is the symbol of divine observation, or total surveillance depending on how it's used. The triangle appears in nearly every major logo, from food to fashion to tech. It's used to structure attention. It tells the subconscious, this is the point of power. The square represents grounding, physicality, and containment. It's associated with earth, order, law, and form. That's why courts are shaped in squares. That's why the checkerboard floor is a square grid. It signals the containment of energy within a system of polarity. When you step onto the square, you are entering the game board. You are subject to the rules. The circle, by contrast, is the symbol of wholeness, infinity, and sacred unity. It has no beginning and no end. In ritual space, circles are cast to create energetic boundaries. In performance art, the circle may appear as a stage, a halo, a spotlight, or a crown. But in some cases, circles can also represent loops, closed cycles of entrapment. Think about wedding rings, Olympic rings, or corporate seals. Circles can unify or they can bind. Then there's the spiral. Found in galaxies, hurricanes, fingerprints, and seashells, the spiral is the symbol of organic growth and spiritual expansion. But it can also be used in reverse. In hypnotic visuals, in maze-like set designs, in spinning camera techniques, the spiral becomes a tool of disorientation. You're not ascending, you're looping. You're not waking up, you're being spun. That's why spirals are often used in entertainment visuals to create trance states. The audience doesn't know they're being pulled inward, and that's the spell. Sacred geometry also shows up in more complex forms, like the flower of life, Metatron's cube, or the golden ratio. These shapes are embedded in everything from religious art to credit card proportions. Not because the designers were spiritual, but because those proportions work. They resonate with human perception. They attract, they seduce, they signal order. And when used in ritual performance, these shapes create an energetic template, a field where programming can be implanted more easily. The truth is, we live in a numerically scripted world. From the grid of city streets to the ratio of your screen, everything is governed by numbers and geometry. Your rituals have been shaped for you. Your energy has been framed. And unless you understand how these frequencies operate, you're not just participating in the performance, you're embedded in its math. So the next time you see a triangle on a product, a spiral on a stage, a checkerboard on a floor, or the number 33 in a headline, pause. The symbol is not just showing you something, it's doing something. It's communicating with the part of you that remembers ancient languages, the one that never forgot that numbers were spells, and that shapes could either trap or free you. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas. 11 times published author and School of Soul has just released one of our most requested deep dives, the Magic and Occult series. This series is not for the faint of heart. It's for those who know there's more going on beneath the surface, behind the media, behind the family, behind the system. This series breaks the spell and hands you the map. The Magic and Occult series includes over 200 videos on 1. Entertainment or ritual. Decoding mainstream media as mass spellwork. 2. Occult families. Spot them. How generational magic and ritual lineage hides in plain sight. 3. Occult symbolism. The signs, seals, and signals used to claim, curse, or command. 4. Esoteric symbolism. Layered meaning, sacred geometry, and encoded messages. 5. Law is magic. How contracts, courts, and language are rituals of power. 6. Spells and spirits. What magic really is, and what happens when you use it. 7. Covens and lodges. Where modern ritual happens, and who's involved. 8. Destiny swapping. How rituals steal timelines, talent, or soul contracts. 9. Energy harvesting. Spiritual parasitism, and how to seal your field. 10. The clairs. Your intuitive senses. Clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and more. 11. Become magical. How to strengthen your gifts, protect your mind, and wield conscious force. 12. Miracles are real, divine intervention, faith portals, and supernatural reversals. 13. The chosen ones. What sets them apart and why they're always targeted. 14. The black sheep, the generational breaker, often isolated by design. 15. Targeted individuals, spiritual and technological targeting of aware souls. 16. Gang stalking, organized spiritual and psychological warfare. This is the most revealing, most spiritually advanced, and most protective series SOS has ever released. If you've ever felt something was off about this world, this will confirm it, and prepare you for what comes next. Your protection begins with knowledge. Join the SOS School of Soul Vault.